When someone lies to you, believe them the first time. You don't need a second example. You don't need 3 or 4 chances to catch them in the act. That's not wisdom, that's denial. When a person looks you in the face and feeds you a lie, they are revealing something far deeper than just dishonesty. They're revealing how little they value your trust, your time, your dignity. And listen to me now, because this is where people mess up. They think love can fix it. They think patience can fix it, but trust me, if lying comes easy to them today, it'll come easier tomorrow. The truth is, when people show you who they are, it's not a moment for negotiation. It's not the starting point for a conversation. That's the finish line. That's the answer you've been searching for. See, too many people get caught up in this fantasy that they can inspire someone to be better. That if they just love harder, stay longer, forgive faster somehow, this liar will turn into an honest man, an honest woman. But lies aren't about you. Lies are about who they are when you're not looking. Lies are about their character when no one's watching. You didn't make them a liar, so you can't make them tell the truth. When someone lies to you, they're calculating 2 things in that moment. They're asking themselves, how much can I get away with, and how little do I think of this person's intelligence, their worth, their boundaries? That's the silent conversation happening in their mind. If they choose the lie, they're also choosing to disrespect you. It's that simple. We overcomplicate it because we're afraid to face what's in front of us, but clarity is right there in their words, in their actions. You just have to stop closing your eyes to it. There's a pattern to liars. First, it's the small lies. Where they were, who they were with, what time they got home, small things, things you could almost forgive. Almost, but those lies aren't random. They're tests to see if you're paying attention, tests to see if you'll call them out, tests to see if you'll walk away or stay seated at their broken table, because if you accept the small lies, you've just signed the contract for the bigger ones. And trust me, the bigger ones are always on the way. You've got to understand something about red flags. They're not decorations, they're warnings, they're stop signs, and when lying shows up, it ain't wearing a disguise. It shows up bold, it shows up clear. It's us who cover it up with excuses. We say, maybe they were just scared. We say, maybe they didn't want to hurt me. But a lie isn't about fear. It's about selfishness. It's about putting their comfort above your clarity. And anyone who puts their comfort above your clarity is someone who will cost you peace, who will waste your years, who will break you down piece by piece. I've seen too many good people turn bitter because they stayed too long believing a liar would eventually find honesty. I've seen people lose sleep, lose health, lose confidence because they gave the benefit of the doubt to someone who didn't deserve it. That's the consequence of ignoring red flags. You don't just lose trust in them, you start to lose trust in yourself. You start asking yourself, how did I not see it? Why did I let this happen? That's a hard road to walk. That's a lonely conversation to have with yourself at night, but the good news is you can get off that road. You can listen to the truth the first time it speaks, because the truth doesn't need to scream. It doesn't need to beg. It shows up quiet, but it stands tall. A liar will dance circles around you, distract you with sweet words, promises, tears, stories. But the truth, it stands there, patient, waiting for you to respect it, waiting for you to choose yourself. And choosing yourself doesn't make you bitter. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. It makes you free. It makes you powerful enough to say, no more. Powerful enough to walk away before the damage runs too deep. Powerful enough to protect your heart, your peace, your future. See, life is full of choices, but the hardest choice sometimes is leaving behind what we wanted so badly to believe. We wanted to believe they loved us enough to change. We wanted to believe we mattered enough for them to tell us the truth. But love isn't proven in words, it's proven in actions. And if someone chooses to lie when they had every reason to be honest, they've already chosen who they are. You don't need to wait around for another example. You don't need another wound to convince you. Believe them the first time. Believe what you see, not what they say, because your future deserves honesty. Your heart deserves respect, and your peace deserves protection. That's the truth. Disrespect never shows up loud at first. It's not bold. It's not aggressive. It doesn't slap you in the face the first day. No, disrespect is patient. It creeps in slow, quiet, disguised as a joke, wrapped in sarcasm, dressed up like just playing. That's how it begins. It starts with a little comment about how you look, something small about your dreams, something slick about your ideas. You laugh it off, you tell yourself they didn't mean it, but deep down you feel it, something in your spirit knows. That's not love. That's not kindness. That's not respect. That's the seed of something bigger. The problem is we ignore it because we're taught to. Society tells you, don't be too sensitive. Friends say they're just playing. Even you might tell yourself, it's not a big deal. But let me tell you something, everything big started small. Every broken heart, every shattered friendship, every toxic relationship started with one tiny sign that someone didn't respect you and you let it slide. You gave them the benefit of the doubt. You chose peace over confrontation. You convinced yourself it would get better. But disrespect grows. It feeds on silence. It feeds on tolerance. The more you accept, the more it demands. What starts as a small joke becomes a daily insult. What starts as a sarcastic comment becomes outright belittling. Before you know it, you're not yourself anymore. You start questioning your worth. You wonder why you're walking on eggshells around someone who claims to love you. You hesitate before you speak. You doubt your choices. You apologize for things you didn't even do. That's what disrespect does. It doesn't just change how they treat you, it changes how you see yourself. You see, real respect is not something you should have to earn over and over. It's given freely, day one, without condition. Someone who loves you right doesn't mock your ambition. They don't downplay your feelings. They don't make you feel small so they can feel big. Love lifts, respect uplifts. Anyone who needs to step on you to stand tall was never standing on solid ground to begin with. Watch how they speak to you when they're upset. Watch how they talk about you to others when you're not around. Watch how they listen when you're vulnerable. Respect is not just politeness in public, it's kindness in private. It's patience when you're tired, compassion when you're weak, and support when you're unsure. A person who respects you honors your boundaries, your dreams, your dignity. And if they can't do that when it's small, they sure won't do it when life gets hard. Now let's talk about why people ignore these signs. Sometimes it's loneliness, sometimes it's fear, sometimes it's love mixed with hope. You think they'll change, they don't mean it, it's just stress, it's just a phase. But disrespect doesn't heal with time, it multiplies. You don't fix it by staying silent. You don't solve it by loving harder. You fix it by recognizing it for what it is and making a choice. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow. If you let them tear you down and still give them your heart, you're telling them that's enough to keep you. It's not about revenge, it's not about anger, it's about knowing your worth, knowing your peace is priceless. Knowing your spirit wasn't made to be crushed under someone else's insecurity. The right people won't need to be taught how to respect you. They'll already know, they'll already show, because respect is in their nature, not in your negotiation. So when you feel that sting of disrespect, don't brush it off. Don't tell yourself you're being too sensitive. That feeling is your spirit recognizing danger. That feeling is your future trying to protect you. Listen to it. Speak on it, stand on it, and if they can't meet you with the same respect you give, then understand this: losing someone who doesn't respect you is not a loss. It's a rescue. It's a blessing in disguise. You can't build love on a foundation of disrespect. You can't build trust where your voice isn't valued. You can't build a future where your dignity isn't safe, so pay attention to the small signs. They're not small. They're warnings, they're lessons wrapped in discomfort. Don't let time and hope blind you to what's right in front of you. Respect yourself enough to walk away from anyone who doesn't respect you. That's not pride, that's protection. That's wisdom, that's strength. Control never walks in the front door shouting its name. It shows up quietly, politely, dressed as care, disguised as love, wrapped in sweet words that sound like protection but feel like chains. That's how manipulation works. It doesn't announce itself. It whispers, it smiles, it tells you, I'm just looking out for you. I only want what's best for you. I love you too much to let you make that mistake. And before you even realize it, you've stopped living for yourself. You're living under their rules. You're moving under their control. It starts small. It always does. They ask who you're with, where you're going, what time you'll be back. Seems innocent, right? You think that's just someone who cares. But ask yourself this. Are they asking to know, or are they asking to control? Do they trust you, or are they keeping tabs? Because love doesn't need surveillance. Real love gives freedom. Real love trusts, then it grows. They start to question your friends. Why do you hang out with them? They're not good for you. They critique your dreams. That's unrealistic. You need something safer. They comment on how you dress, how you laugh, how you think. Slowly, piece by piece, they reshape you into someone smaller, someone quieter, someone easier to manage. And you start to believe it's normal. You start to believe this is what love looks like, someone caring so much they want to control everything. But that's not care, that's fear, that's insecurity, that's manipulation wrapped in affection. Love doesn't need to control you to feel secure. Love doesn't clip your wings so you'll stay in the cage. Love stands beside you, not over you. Love celebrates your strength, your independence, your freedom to choose, even when it disagrees. Real love is not afraid of who you might become. Real love wants you to grow, not shrink, but manipulation. Manipulation wants power, it wants ownership, it wants control disguised as devotion, and the dangerous part is, it often works on good people. Why? Because good people see the best in others. Good people make excuses. They're just protective. They've been hurt before. They're just scared to lose me. But here's the truth. Their wounds are not your chains. Their past is not your prison. You are not responsible for healing someone who chooses to hurt you while calling it love. Manipulation is clever. It makes you doubt yourself. It makes you question your judgment. Maybe I am too friendly. Maybe I shouldn't wear this. Maybe I shouldn't chase that dream. And every time you adjust who you are to make them feel better, you're losing a piece of yourself. Until one day, you wake up and realize you don't recognize who you've become. Not because you changed for you, but because you were molded by someone who couldn't love you without trying to own you. That's why it's so important to catch it early. Recognize the signs. Ask yourself, does this person trust me, or do they track me? Do they celebrate my freedom, or do they fear it? Do they lift me up, or do they keep me small? Because control will always come wrapped in pretty words. It will always sound like protection, but you'll feel the truth. You'll feel the pressure, the fear, the anxiety creeping in where love should live. And if you don't stand up to it, if you don't set boundaries, it will grow, it will consume, until you are no longer in a relationship, you're in a cage. And no matter how beautiful they make that cage look, no matter how soft the words, it's still a cage. So hear me clearly, you don't owe anyone your freedom, not a partner, not a friend, not family. If they love you, truly love you, they will not fear your strength. They will not silence your voice. They will not dim your light to make theirs shine brighter. Love is not about control. It's about respect. It's about trust. It's about standing beside someone, not above them. And if someone can't love you like that, if they need to control you to feel secure, that's not your problem to solve. That's your sign to walk away, because staying will cost you more than your time. It will cost you your spirit. It will cost you your dreams. It will cost you your peace. Control in disguise is one of the most dangerous red flags you'll ever face. Don't ignore it. Don't explain it away. Don't wait for it to turn into something bigger. Freedom is your right. Respect is your right. And love, real love, will never ask you to give those up. Consistency is not just a habit. It's a reflection of character. A person who is inconsistent with you is telling you loud and clear, "You are not my priority. You are my convenience." You see, people who truly value you don't change their energy with the wind. They don't show up only when it benefits them. They don't call you when they're lonely and disappear when they're busy. Consistency reveals truth. Inconsistency exposes games. That's where a lot of people get stuck, in the cycle of inconsistency. One minute they're warm, the next they're cold. One day they want forever, the next they're figuring themselves out. And because they give you just enough to keep you hoping, you stay. You hold on to the good days, you replay the moments when they seem to care, but what you fail to see is this: inconsistency is already the answer. It's already showing you what's ahead. Unreliable now means unreliable later. Unavailable now means unavailable later. Stop making excuses for what is already crystal clear. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean they'll never make mistakes. It doesn't mean every day will be sunshine. But consistency does mean they'll keep showing up. It means they communicate through the highs and the lows. It means their words match their actions not just once, but over and over again. Anyone can act right for a season. Anyone can show up when it's easy, but character is proven when it's not convenient, when life gets messy, when patience wears thin. That's when you'll see who's really there for you. And listen, inconsistency isn't just about how often they call or how frequently they make plans. It's about emotional consistency. It's about being steady in how they treat you, how they support you, how they respect you. A person who loves you right doesn't give you whiplash. They don't leave you wondering where you stand. They don't disappear and expect you to just understand. They don't come and go like waves on a shore. Love is not confusion. Love is not chaos. Love is clarity. You deserve clarity. You deserve stability. You deserve to know that when someone says they care about you, it means every day, not just on the days they feel like it. You deserve a presence that doesn't falter when life gets complicated. You deserve actions that reflect intentions, not empty promises followed by silence. Too many people settle for inconsistent love because they are afraid to be alone. They convince themselves it's better than nothing. But let me tell you something, inconsistency is worse than being alone, because at least when you're alone, you're not questioning your worth. At least when you're alone, you're not stuck in the limbo of doubt and second guessing. Inconsistency drains you. It keeps you emotionally hungry. It keeps you chasing validation that should have been given freely. Consistency brings peace. It builds trust. It creates safety. It allows you to grow because you're not stuck worrying if you'll be abandoned tomorrow. It allows you to open up because you know they're not going to weaponize your vulnerability later. Inconsistency kills that. It keeps your heart anxious. It makes you shrink. It makes you doubt not just them, but yourself. So don't ignore it. Don't tell yourself you're asking for too much. Don't let someone convince you that consistency is unrealistic. It's not, it's basic, it's fundamental, it's what healthy love looks like, it's what respect looks like. And anyone who can't give it is already telling you who they are. Believe them, believe the patterns, believe the actions, because a person's consistency is tied directly to their respect for you. Someone who values you doesn't leave you hanging. They don't make you wonder. They don't make you question their presence. They are there. They are steady. They are clear, and if they're not, if they're hot and cold, in and out, here one day and gone the next. That's your sign, that's your red flag, that's your wake-up call. Don't chase them. Don't wait for them to get it together. Protect your peace, protect your heart. You don't need someone who shows up when it's easy. You need someone who's there because they choose to be every day. People who never take responsibility for their actions are handing you a bright, shining red flag. You might not want to see it at first because, let's be honest, we all want to believe the best about the people we care for. But ignoring accountability is one of the clearest signs of emotional immaturity, and it's a road sign pointing directly toward future heartache. A person who blames everyone else for their mistakes will eventually turn that blame onto you. It's not a question of if, it's only a question of when. You have to listen carefully to how people speak about their past. Notice the patterns. Notice how every ex was crazy. Every job they left was because the boss had it out for them. Every failure in their life somehow wasn't their fault. The world was always unfair. The timing was always wrong. Other people were always the problem. That's not just storytelling. That's a mindset. That's a refusal to look in the mirror and confront the truth about their own actions. And let me tell you, if they can't own up to their mistakes in their past, what makes you think they'll own up to them with you? See, accountability isn't just about admitting when you're wrong. It's about growth. It's about character. A person who can't face their own flaws can't fix them. A person who can't say, "I messed up," is doomed to repeat the same behavior over and over because they're too busy pointing fingers to look at themselves. And when you're tied to someone like that, guess what? You're going to spend a whole lot of your time carrying the weight of their mistakes. You're going to be blamed for things you didn't do, criticized for things you couldn't control, and pulled into battles that were never yours to fight. That's not love, that's emotional chaos, and here's where it gets dangerous. People who refuse accountability are masters of manipulation. They will twist the truth until you start questioning your own memory, your own judgment, even your own sanity. They'll make you feel like you're the one who's overreacting, like you're too sensitive, like you're too demanding. When really, all you're asking for is honesty and responsibility, two things no healthy relationship can survive without. It doesn't stop there. Over time, their inability to take ownership will bleed into every part of your relationship. Arguments won't get resolved. They'll just get buried under more blame. Communication won't grow. It'll shrink because you'll start to realize it's useless trying to reason with someone who's never wrong. Respect won't deepen. It'll disappear because respect is rooted in mutual responsibility. Without accountability, trust dies. Without accountability, love can't breathe. People like to say love is patient, love is kind, and that's true. But love also has boundaries. Love says, I won't keep accepting behavior that hurts me. Love says, you need to do your part. Real love doesn't let someone stay stuck in immaturity. Real love challenges people to grow, to reflect, to take responsibility, not just for their actions, but for how those actions affect the person standing beside them. And I know what you might be thinking. You're thinking, maybe if I love them enough, they'll change. Maybe if I show them enough patience, they'll see the light. But that's not how this works. Accountability isn't something you can force into someone. It's something they have to choose for themselves. It comes from maturity, from self-awareness, from the desire to be better, not because you're begging them, but because they value your relationship enough to hold themselves accountable. So pay attention. Pay attention when they blame their mother for their temper, when they blame their ex for their trust issues, when they blame their job for their unhappiness, when they blame you for every argument, every disagreement, every moment of discomfort. Because if they can't take responsibility now, they won't take it later, not when it matters most, not when you need them to step up. Not when your heart is on the line, your peace matters, your mental health matters, your happiness matters. Don't tie yourself to someone who refuses to own their part in life, because what starts as excuses today turns into patterns tomorrow. And those patterns become the story of your relationship. Choose someone who says, "I was wrong. I'll do better." Choose someone who believes in accountability as much as they believe in love. Because love without accountability isn't love, it's just another lesson waiting to happen. When you find yourself constantly explaining your feelings, your needs, your worth to someone, that's not love, that's a warning sign. That's exhaustion disguised as effort. That's you fighting for a place in someone's life where you should have already been welcomed, understood, respected. The truth is, people who care about you, who value you, don't need endless explanations to understand how you feel. They don't make you repeat yourself just to prove your point. They hear you the first time not because you shouted, not because you begged, but because they were listening with intention, with love, with respect. But people who don't respect you, they act like they are confused on purpose. They dismiss your feelings. They twist your words. They make you feel like you're asking for too much when all you're asking for is basic decency. They pretend not to understand because if they understand, they'd have to take responsibility. And people who don't want to change will always act like they're confused. They'll always play dumb when it comes to your pain. That way, they get to keep doing what they're doing while making you feel crazy for asking them to stop. You see, explaining yourself over and over again becomes a trap. It becomes a cycle. You start off trying to communicate your needs healthy, honest, necessary. But when someone refuses to hear you, when they brush it off, when they turn the conversation back on you, you begin to question yourself. Maybe I wasn't clear. Maybe I am overreacting. Maybe I should have said it differently. No, stop. You were clear. Your feelings were valid. Your words were enough. They just chose not to listen. Listening is not about ears, it's about heart. When someone truly cares, they don't need a dictionary to understand you. They don't need a manual to treat you right. They hear the pain behind your words. They see the hurt behind your eyes. They recognize the effort you're making just to keep the relationship afloat. And they respond not with empty apologies, not with temporary fixes, but with real change, because that's what love does. Love listens, love learns, love grows, but people who don't want to grow, they'll keep you talking until you're blue in the face. They'll keep you explaining yourself until you're too tired to try. They'll make you feel like you're difficult, dramatic, impossible to please. And that's not just disrespectful, that's manipulation. That's them shifting the blame so they never have to look in the mirror. You deserve someone who meets you halfway, someone who values your words the first time you speak them, someone who doesn't need reminders to respect you, to honor your boundaries, to treat you with kindness. You shouldn't have to fight to be heard in a relationship that claims to be built on love. You shouldn't have to beg for basic decency from someone who says they care. If they can't listen to you now, they won't listen to you later. If they can't respect your words now, they won't respect your heart later. Relationships are supposed to bring peace, not confusion. They're supposed to make you feel safe, not silenced. The right person won't let you drown in your own explanations. They'll hear you, they'll hold space for you, they'll make changes because they love you enough to grow. That's what real partnership looks like. That's what maturity sounds like. So stop explaining yourself to people who've already decided not to understand you. Stop wasting your breath on those who see your honesty as inconvenience. Your heart is not up for debate. Your feelings are not a courtroom. Your needs are not unreasonable. The right person will hear you clearly the first time. Because when someone truly values you, they won't make you explain why you deserve respect. They'll show you respect without you ever having to ask.